Hi, I'm Mindy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the authors I've read the most tag, which was created by Jeremy Fee, and I was tagged by PG. I ain't finna read that. I went through and made a list of all the authors that I have read more than one book from, and there was 50 authors on that list. So I brought it down to the top 10 most read authors, and a bunch of the authors are tied for the same amount of books that I've read from them. So we're going to do a top 6, and 6th place goes to Neil Gaiman. For Neil Gaiman, I've read 2 comic books in the Death series. This one is The Time of Your Life and The Cost of Living. I really like Death as a character in those books. I've also read Neverwhere from Neil Gaiman. I've also read Coraline and The Graveyard Book. I have several other of his books on my someday TBR. Now I have 4 authors tied for 5th place with 6 books each. The first one is Stephenie Meyer, because I was obsessed with the Twilight series for a while, so I read all 4 of those. I also read the short Second Life of Bree Tanner, which was just a tiny novella that only took an hour or 2 to read. And then I also read The Host by Stephenie Meyer as well. Next, with 6 books, is George R.R. Martin, because I have read the first 5 books in the Song of Ice and Fire series. This is the first one, Game of Thrones. There's 5 of them. And I also read The World of Ice and Fire. The next author that I've read 6 books from is Dean Koontz. From Dean Koontz, I've read the first 3 books in the Odd Thomas series. I've also read Lightning, Midnight, and Twilight Eyes. Of the ones that I can for sure remember, I'm sure I read some more in high school, and I didn't have Goodreads back then to keep track. So these are my most read authors since 2012, because that's when I started my Goodreads account. The next author that I've read 6 books from is J.R.R. Tolkien, which I've read the Lord of the Rings trilogy as well as The Hobbit, and I've also read The Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales. Now, in 4th place with 7 books read, that would be J.K. Rowling, because I read the entire Harry Potter series. All 7 books. Tied for 4th place with 7 books is Karin Slaughter. From Karin Slaughter, I've read 5 books from the Grant County series, and I'm reading the 6th one next month. I've also read Pretty Girls and The Good Daughter by Karin Slaughter as well. We're getting down to it. We're at 3rd place now. My 3rd most read author since 2012 is Joe Hill, because I have read all 6 volumes of the Lock and Key series, so that's 6 books. This is my favorite comic series, and it's one of my favorite series of all time. From Joe Hill, I've also read Heart-Shaped Box, Horns, and Nosferatu. My 2nd most read author since 2012 is Richelle Mead, because she has written a couple of my favorite series First one is the Vampire Academy series, which has 6 books in it, as well as the Bloodline series, which is a spin-off from Vampire Academy following a few of the side characters from the first series. And it is just as good. But that's not all I've read from Richelle Mead. I've also checked out her Age of X adult urban fantasy series. The first 2 books, which were Game Board of the Gods and The Immortal Crown. I really love that urban fantasy series. I don't think that she's ever put out any more books in that series. I don't know if it was only a duology or if she decided not to continue on with it, but I really like that series as well. And I read Succubus Blues, which is the first book in a adult paranormal romance series by her as well. And I like them all. I plan on reading The Glittering Court this year, which is another YA fantasy series from her. I don't think it'll be as good as the Vampire Academy series, or else I probably would have heard more about them. But I still think I will probably like it quite a bit because I have liked everything she's written that I've read. This was pretty surprising to me, my number 1 most read author since 2012. I don't know why it is or why it should be, because he is so prolific. He has so many books out, and really the ones that I've read are just scratching the surface. But my number 1 most read author is Stephen King. I wouldn't say that I'm like his biggest fan or I read everything that comes out from him, but I have read a lot, apparently. I've read 20 Stephen King books so far, and I've been reading a lot more lately, so that's going to go up. But my favorite Stephen King books are the Dark Tower series. I've read all 7, plus the novella Wind Through the Keyhole. So 8 Dark Tower books. Plus, the only Richard Bachman book I've read is The Long Walk. I've also read The Cycle of the Werewolf, Salem's Lot, The Shining, Gwendy's Button Box, The Dead Zone, Night Shift, Lisey's Story, The Tommyknockers, It, Carrie, The Outsider, and Needful Things. That is 20 Stephen King books, and I plan on reading a lot more. In April, I'll be reading Pet Sematary. In June, I'll be reading the rest of The Stand. So yeah, more Stephen King to come. And more Richelle Mead this year. A little bit more Karen Slaughter this year. So you never know what these grand totals will end up being in the future. And now I'm going to tag a few people that I would love to hear which authors you have read the most from. I'm going to tag Revenant Reads, Yankee Southerner, The Return Cart, The Bard of Dandelions, Literary Labors, and The Booklectic. You are tagged. I'd love to see which authors you read the most from. If you like this video, you can hit like and subscribe. I'll be back every Tuesday, Thursday, and sometimes Sunday with another book-related video. Thanks. Bye.